Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we're gonna make a quick and simple recipe of fried pork chops. I made fried pork chops a few days ago, or probably about a week, and it was so good that I wanted to put it on camera for you guys to see how to make it, just in case you don't. It's very quick, very simple, very easy. We're gonna get into it right now. Okay guys, so we're gonna do this. I have 4 pieces of pork chops. What I'm gonna do is season this really well. Now I washed it already with vinegar and lemon juice, and washed it pretty good, and then pat dry it. You want to pat dry it because of the seasoning that you're about to put on it. Now we're still gonna put a little bit of juice and stuff on it, but I'm gonna take you through that process. Now I have all my dry ingredients here, which is I have a little bit of salt, I have black pepper, I have paprika, I have ginger powder, I have garlic, onion powder, and a little bit of oregano. Yes, I said it, oregano. And what I'm gonna do is mix it all together. Just make sure it's mixed up together. I don't remember if I said salt, but salt is in here too, because you want to give the meat taste. Okay? Just in case I forgot for any reason one of the seasoning that I put in here, I'm going to list it on the recipe below, so you're going to know exactly what's on there. So just follow the recipe. Sometimes we put stuff together and, you know, you might miss a thing or two, but I'm going to try not to forget anything that I'm using on this recipe. Now, what I'm going to do, now that I've mixed this all together, I also have a piece of ginger. I'm going to grate this ginger on here and just kind of pat it in. You don't have to get a lot of ginger, just a little bit, because you don't want it to be too strong on the meat, because I already used a little bit of ginger powder. Okay? And you're just gonna rub it into the meat. Just rub it in. Just rub it into the meat. This is part of your flavor. I made this and it was so good. It wasn't strong, anything, it was excellent. Now what I'm gonna do, I'm going to take the dry seasoning and I'm going to put it on top of these 4 pieces. Now, if you don't use all the seasoning, that's okay. If you think you need some more, that's okay too. Just add a little bit more. But I'm going to just use what I got. And I'm going to just pat this into the meat. This is the seasoning, your dry ingredients again. And you're just patting it into the meat. Then you're gonna flip it over, because you want both sides of the meat coated with the seasoning. You want it seasoned very well so that when you fry this, it tastes real good. I did this with chicken as well. Oh my God, it was so good. I did it with baked chicken, but that's a recipe for another day. Okay. I'm trying to use all my seasoning because I know I made just enough. So, and then we're gonna pat it in here as well. If you feel like the seasoning is it's getting away from you, you see like on the cutting board have, you know, a little bit of seasoning, it's all gonna be put together. Okay, so now that we've pat the seasoning into the meat, you're gonna use the lemon juice and orange juice. It was just a little bit of orange juice. I don't know what the orange juice did to it, but it was so good. Now, all I'm doing is patting a little bit on the meat, because I don't want too much acid this is 1 whole lemon and just about 2 teaspoons of orange juice, but it was 100% orange juice. So you can actually buy orange and squeeze the juice from that, which is probably better. I use the orange juice that I get from Whole Food, which is natural orange juice. It doesn't have any sugar or anything. So I know that I'm using 100% juice. Okay. So I'm just patting a little bit into the meat. And now you see the seasoning and everything is just sitting on the meat. And I know that I have just enough of seasoning here. And normally we would do this in a bowl. But nope, not today. We're not putting it in any bowl. Okay. So now what I'm going to do, now that I've put all my seasoning on here, I'm going to leave this just like this on this board. We're going to leave it for about 2 hours or about an hour and a half. What you want to happen here is you want the seasoning to soak and really get into the meat. Okay? On the day that I made the pork chops, I believe that it tastes so good because I allowed it to marinate very well. So that's why I'm saying giving it an hour and a half to 2 hours would allow the seasoning to really soak into it. Okay? So we're going to come back to this within 2 hours. I'm not going to say hour and a half. I'm going to say 2 hours because I'm actually cooking something else to go with this. So leave it for about 2 hours and then we'll come back to it. Okay, so our meat have been marinated for about 2 hours now. Actually about 2 hours and 10 minutes, which is real good. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna get cooking on this. Now first, before we start cooking, what we're gonna do is you're gonna put a little bit of milk in a container, just an average amount. Because I didn't measure this, I just put an average amount. And then I add 2 eggs, and then you're gonna whisk it together. Whisk it together as though you're making scrambled eggs. You can whisk it until it gets really fluffy, or you can leave it like this. And this is good enough for me. Then I put a little bit of breadcrumbs. You can use any breadcrumbs that you want to use. A little bit of breadcrumbs I put into this plate because that's what we're going to fry this pork chop with. We're going to use the breadcrumbs and we're going to use the eggs and milk that we whisked together. Okay? All right, we're going to go over to the stove. Okay, so to get started, I have to put the eggs and milk in a wider container. Well, a wider bowl in order to soak the pork chops properly. So, yes. And then we have the oil. You can use any pan, any frying pan that you want to use, but preferably use something that is a little high because sometimes when you're frying, oil and stuff tends to kind of swish swash a little bit, you know, it pops up and you don't want to get burned. So I use a higher frying pan. Actually, this is not really a frying pan, but it's a pan, okay, that I'm frying in. I'm going to turn the fire down to medium. You don't want to turn it on high because you don't want the pork chops to cook too fast, okay? It's going to cook fast because the pork chop is thin, but you don't want it to cook too fast. If you put it on high, it's going to get brown really quickly, and you want to make sure that the inside of the pork chop, when you finish cooking it, it's cooked properly. which is about, let's see if I remember these temperatures. It's probably about 145 degrees to 160 for pork. So you want to make sure is that if those measurements, I'm trying to remember from my food cooking skills the temperature properly. But if the temperature is different, please put it below and kind of school me a little bit. But as far as I remember, it's about 145 to 160 degrees. Okay? All right. So now we're going to do this. Okay, so if you notice, I am doing this method twice. I am soaking the pork chops in the eggs and milk and putting it in the breadcrumbs twice. Okay? Because we want a little bit of thick coat on it. And I'm just going to fry 2 pork chops at a time. This is going to cook in like 5 minutes. And once it's cooked, it's going to be really crispy. The smell of this pork chop is amazing. We got 2 more to go and it's done. Alright guys, final pork chop is finished. Want to make sure you see it. 4 pieces of pork chop. Looks beautiful. I'm sure it's going to taste delicious. Alright, remember guys, if you like these videos, Remember to put your comments below. Remember to like and subscribe. Until next time, bye bye.